Hi, everyone. I'm Maura. Hopefully I've had a chance to meet a lot of you by now, but I'm a new assistant professor here at SARUP. I'm here to tell you about my spring architectural history seminar, Race, Myth, and Landscape. We're going to try to work together to sort of suss out and determine what the architectural history of whiteness in the United States might look like. We're going to ask pretty important questions, I think, about where identity is made and what it looks like. And in this case, we're going to think about hegemonic identity. So how the sort of dominant racial identity and sort of power structures were formed, both in highly politicized sites. So we will look at, for example, the landscape of the plantation in US history, but also in, let's say, more everyday spaces, like the sort of laundry lines hanging in a suburban backyard, the spaces of a public urban park, or a cabin in the woods. So we're going to think about those side by side with the kind of, let's say, more structural political systems of oppression and dispossession that they work alongside with, right? So how does the homestead, told as a kind of dominant US narrative of cabin building on the frontier, how do we think about that as actually a white experience, as a white architecture next to histories of, let's say, indigenous dispossession, right? How do we see those together? We're going to try to grapple with these histories and stories through time, as well as think about design interventions and more inclusive ways to move forward as architects with this kind of historical knowledge, right? So, for example, we're going to talk about the 2020 incident of birding while Black, a Black birder who was reported to the police by a white jogger while in Frederick Law Olmsted's Central Park. He was in the Ramble, a kind of very densely forested natural environment, really fantastic for bird life, really fantastic from this incredibly wild perspective, but also a very, let's say, isolated and in some ways very unsafe space for this African-American man to be occupying. And so thinking about the way that we can look at architectural interventions, we'll look at the National Park Service and its history of architecture, the design of campground spaces, and how these could perhaps be tweaked. We're also going to be working on a really fun exhibition design project where you'll be selecting a site, and we'll be working together on both the sort of exhibition structure and choosing historical pieces to sort of curate within it. This is also going to include a local case study that I'm very curious to learn more about. I already mentioned Olmsted. This is one of our sort of dominant 19th century park designers. We have one of his sites here in Milwaukee, just a few blocks from campus, Lake Park. As we'll sort of study, this was a space for the kind of consolidation. These parks were the space for a consolidation of a unified kind of dominant white urban identity. However, I was fascinated to learn that Olmsted's designs for Lake Park also preserve a number of Native American effigy mounds that we're going to visit in the campus, the land of the park, and we're going to attempt to dive into the historical record, working with some great folks at the Friends of Lake Park, at the Milwaukee Historical Society, and other local organizations to see if we can learn more about how that happened. So I look forward to doing this work with you all and to talking more about some of these, I think, really important issues in the spring. Okay, thank you so much.